Well, the movie originally, as first written at its very conceptual stage, was supposed to be a Western. So Kurt Russell's character would have been riding into an old Western town on a horse, and his horse gets stolen, and this would have gone on a completely different Western route. That was the original version. When Carpenter took it over, though, he wanted to modernize it. So then he brought it to Chinatown, modern day, and changed the whole dynamic. But this could have been more about an old a rodeo throwdown at high noon in the original conception. But
Well, if it still involved
thankfully,
like
we did something different.
if it still involved Chinese people, I would say more like Once Upon a Time in China and America.
They said it definitely still had like a character like Lo Pan, but I think it would have been all like they kept the Lo Pan character, but I guess it would have been a different version of him. So that said, Carpenter got it. At this point in Carpenter's career, he's still doing sort of big studio movies. So this is still for Universal. Apparently, Kurt Russell at this time had made a couple movies that did not do well at the box office. So he was kind of iffy about doing Big Trouble in Little China because he didn't think like he was the right person to star for, because he's like apparently saying like, hey, like I've not been doing well lately in the box office. So for this kind of movie, but apparently Carpenter wanted Kurt Russell, talked him into it, talked the studios into it, definitely still wanted, but apparently Kurt Russell's like stock wasn't that high at this specific time when this movie came out. So for whatever reason, I don't know what movies he had done before this, but apparently he wasn't doing great box office wise. Carpenter was a huge, relatively huge martial arts fan, wanted to bring Chinese mysticism, but when they first started making the movie was actually protested against by Asian people in the area where they were filming it, because they had an assumption that this movie was going to be something of a white savior thing where
Or
the
an
Asian people,
exploitation. Maybe an exploitation film.
right. Now, obviously, the people protesting hadn't actually seen the movie or seen the script, so I think they're just thinking like, okay, because that's how Hollywood had done a lot of that kind of thing. But Carpenter, being way ahead of his time, was like, okay, I mean, Carpenter says this, so his original vision is like what everybody says now, is the idea that the white savior is actually the sidekick who thinks he's the hero, but is actually a bumbling sidekick, and our Asian character is the main character. It's just that we're going to play with it comedic wise, where you have the brash, sort of aggressive, bravado American, like jumping into every scene, not knowing what he's doing or what's going on, but just being like a cowboy essentially. Whereas mostly incompetent though, like the dude is like shooting things that come down and knock him out unconscious at the beginning of the fight scene. So which still makes me laugh to this day. So, so they were doing the reverse of what would be the white savior. They're doing like bumbling sidekick who, but again, thinks he's the hero. But the studio didn't get that. They added that opening scene, the very opening scene where the whole "we should be in Jack Burton's good graces," right? That was
You're talking about that whole. Oh yeah, with Victor Wong's character and talking to an FBI agent.
The studio wanted that scene to establish Jack Burton as the hero. So they didn't really get the concept of like he's not our hero, but they wanted that scene to talk about him as the hero, so the audience would like. So Carpenter didn't want to do that. He was like, you guys are missing the point. But in a way, it still works either way, because it makes the audience think this is what we're getting, but then you realize quickly that it's not. So
to be fair, I mean, he is a hero because he is the one who completely and utterly threw a knife into Lo Pan's head.
Oh yeah. No, it's funny because I think that is his moment to shine, and that is like set up so well when we go back to the very beginning with the whole bottle thing. Like just Lo Pan though, that's Lo Pan though, having no idea that this dude has one very specific skill of catching that thing and throwing it back. So it was set up very perfectly. Well, we have to admit, leading up to that, mostly Jack Burton is being, I wouldn't say incompetent, but mostly being incompetent. Yeah. But
I will say
you had to give him a moment to shine at the end for sure.
So. I will say this movie, John Carpenter definitely made it to where Jack Burton is a very annoying character.
I don't think annoying's the right word. He's one of the most amazingly fun characters in cinema history. If you're annoyed by him, then you're just missing the boat,
So
sir.
let,
He's one
let
of the
me
great he's one of the great characters of all time, so.
let me put this to you, because now I don't do regional trucking like what they show Jack Burton doing in this, but I do a form of trucking. So I get a CB radio. I
Mhm.
hear chatter on that a lot.
Okay,
If
Rusty
I
Nail.
had to hear this guy on the
Yeah.
damn radio 24/7 while I am trying to work, I
I'd
would
be
take that
I'd be
radio and throw it out the window.
I'd be wildly entertained by this guy just rambling on about Jack Burton says this. This is what Jack Burton says. I
Now, if
guess
you
if
ever
it's
get
all night, I would be like, yeah, but I
it
love it.
is all night. It seems like this guy. Now you could say, "Oh, this guy has ADD or ADHD. He needs something to do to keep his brain occupied." I would have thrown my CB radio right out the window. I was hoping
Oh
that
yeah.
Rusty Nails would have gotten on that CB radio and told him to shut up. Okay,
Okay,
this
you well,
was
but you're coming with the perspective of you're like thinking how you would be reacting to it on the other side of the CB radio. I get that. Me as an audience member, I'm just laughing my ass off at this whole diatribe. This opening scene of Jack Bird in the truck just sells me on his character completely. He's the perfect character to throw into. I mean, this is a fish out of water idea. This is like a character thrown into a different world. Usually, that character is like vulnerable and has like main character emotional depth. This is not Jack Burton. Jack Burton is bravado, abrasive. What's going on? What the hell do you mean? Like just asking questions. Like he's a fun character for thrown into a fish out of water stuff he doesn't understand scenario.
oh, he
Um,
definitely gets fish out of water face when the one guy pulls out both the knife and then the baton in the
oh yeah,
airport and just starts
oh
swinging it on him. He's just like, "Hey, dude, I didn't sign up for this part."
yeah. So the opening scenes we established the friendship.
Him and Wayne.
Him and Wayne, who's played by Dennis Dunn, and pretty good opening scenes. I mean, they kind of established that they're relatively good friends. You would never think that based on what's happening in opening scenes that they're about to go on this crazy adventure that they go on. Um, but I would say once you get to the airport and all the stuff starts going down, from that point forward, this movie is pretty much, for the most part, nonstop action packed. The pace is actually pretty wildly fast. Um, Carpenter said that he intended it to be a very fast paced movie.
I
Um,
will. I do got a question because you brought up that this movie is protested because of potential white savior complex thing.
mhm.
Why wasn't it protested for the fact that they casted a white woman as an Asian woman?
Is she? Oh, is she? That's a white woman that plays the.
I looked her up. I mean, admittedly, her name definitely does not signify it, but
What is her name?
she's from America.
What's her name though?
I don't remember.
Because your whole point falls apart if she has an Asian name. I mean, let's be honest.
Okay, Big Trouble Little China. I mean, I know her name does sound Asian-ish. Let's see. Yeah. So her name is Susie Pie.
I think the last name does sound okay.
American former actress and model. Now, again, I don't know about you. To me, this woman does not look Asian at all. I mean, if they just said that, her family immigrated to China and she was born there, that's where her and Dennis Dunn's character met, yada, yada, yada. Even though it sounds like Dennis Dunn or Wang and Jack both grew up in what it sounds like Chicago or New York together.
Yeah.
So that wouldn't make no damn sense either.
I mean, it's interesting. I'll be honest. I've never heard that mentioned before. So I don't think the audience as a whole came away thinking that's not an Asian woman. She looks Asian to me. So
They
I
said,
understand the criticism, but I can't get on board unless I know for sure she's not Asian, because then it just kills the whole thing. But I mean, I've never heard anybody say it before, so I'm like, I'd have to watch it again, really focus on her but I mean, she doesn't strike me as a white woman, so I don't know, like, what
She didn't strike me as an Asian.
well, then what do you think she looks like then?
To me, she looks like damn almost every woman I've ever met. I don't know how to describe it. She looks fucking whiter than me.
I don't know. I don't think
I
this is a
wouldn't
well
say
thought
whiter than me, but
this is not a well
no,
thought out point that you're making.
no. Overall, I personally don't, because the point I'm making is they say her character was born out of, I think, Taipei or somewhere like that. I forgot
Mhm.
where they said she was born in.
Mm.
And to me, it only makes sense if, and the movie probably didn't need to reference this. Most people probably figure, oh, she's just her father or mother being military met a woman there and
Mm.
had a baby. Possibly. I mean, with a name like Susie Pie, but
Yeah, but where in this script were they going into detail about her backstory? Like, it just wouldn't why would that make any sense for them to be like, "Okay, now let's give her a biography." Like, it just wouldn't fit any of the scenes in the movie, so it would
nothing really fits
it would
in.
satisfy an absolute nitpicker like yourself, but it wouldn't fit the movie at all. So, they'd be like, "By the way, just to give some background, her back there, her family." I mean, it all stems from the idea that you think she doesn't look Asian, but I don't. If so, it wasn't like blatantly where I was like, "Oh, that's a white woman playing." Like, I don't know. It's like it wasn't in my face. I don't know. It's not enough to where I would like actually like think about that like in a strong way. So, but so fun fact: who did Carpenter want to play the Dennis Dunn character originally?
Jet Li,
You're very close.
Jackie Chan.
You're exactly right.
I mean, to be fair, the way Dennis Dunn looks, it does remind me a little bit of Jet Li with the crop cut hair
Mm.
and the clothes he's wearing, plus the kind of build he has. Because let's face it, Jackie Chan is a little bigger than Jet Li, plus usually always has longer hair. So if you wanted more of a Jackie Chan type character, I would think that they would ask Dennis Dunn to grow out his hair a little bit.
Well, John Carpenter had seen, I guess, Police Story and Police Story 2. So
Okay.
keep in mind, Dennis Dunn, I mean, I love Dennis Dunn, but keep in mind, Dennis Dunn at this point was essentially a no-name actor, whereas Jackie Chan was already basically a legend from Police Story and Police Story 2. So John Carpenter had seen those and be like, this guy'd be perfect for my movie. It just didn't work out. But that would have been, I mean, that actually would have been historic. It would have been America's introduction to Jackie Chan, which didn't happen until actually like 10 years later in the 90s, really. 1995,
What I
Rumble in
forgot
the
what
Bronx.
movie it was, but I know the movie. I know one of the stunts in the movie Jackie Chan was introduced to America. I think was him running across rooftops and then completely jumping and making it through a window with no wires. And I'm pretty sure originally they wanted him to wear
Well,
wires. He's like, no, he just
I
did it.
know technically he was a stunt double for Bruce Lee in certain Bruce Lee movies, I think,
Okay, so
um, but in terms of like him starring in a movie for the American audiences, that was Rumble in the Bronx, 1995. So,
was that the
and
one
then
I just mentioned where he jumped off?
oh, yeah, it was either that
He was on
or
he was like running on a ceiling, jumped off the ceiling, and went through a window. That's the only real scene I can remember about the movie.
it's either Jackie Chan's First Strike or Rumble in the Bronx. It's one of those two movies.
Okay.
Um, but that'd have been I think that'd have been a fascinating movie. Um, oh yeah. So if we're not going scene by scene, I'm just gonna like we're gonna keep this relatively short then.
Well, we're gonna have to. Your battery about to die, ain't it?
Pretty soon. Okay. Big topic things. I would say that so Carpenter had told the cast too because they didn't know actually how to approach the material first, and he actually his perspective. He told them he was like, listen, think comedy. The way you say your dialogue, the way you're acting things, think comedy first. So the movie is written and directed in more of they're trying to get laughs out of you more so than they still have the action, of course, like that, but he's emphasizing the comedy first, which is why there is a lot of the dialogue I think is made more like meant to be funny versus like the action
Some of
thing.
the fight scenes are too, not really the more
Oh,
serious ones, but
yeah.
a lot of them, like the gang fight, the gang war that was in the alley.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, a lot of those fights actually made me laugh a little.
Me too. Same. I
Uh,
think I think Carpenter made the right call because this movie is like so ridiculous in terms of what happens that you have to like if I showed someone the movie now, I'd have to be like the way I would approach is like, hey, this is like supposed to be just like a fun comedic sort of movie. Like if you take it too seriously, then all this would be like completely ridiculous. You have to approach this with like a comedic lens. And then if you do that, then all of Jack Burton's lines taken as a comedy is like just hilarious situations when he knocks himself out with a thing. That's again made me laugh. Everything with Lo Pan is hilarious. You know, this is the kind of
old
shit.
man
This
Lopan or 7 foot tall Lopan?
old man Lo Pan. This kind of shit pisses me off, and like all his
Now this
lines. are
really
just,
pissing me off.
like yeah, the Lo Pan is like an MVP of this movie, no question.
I mean, he's
So many
played by a
funny
pretty
lines.
damn good actor as well,
Yeah.
so that definitely helps.
Lo Pan's so good. Like you want to see, I'd want to see a sequel with Jack Burton, but I also want to see like a spin-off prequel about Lo Pan. Honestly,
I
he
mean,
has
they
enough.
did.
He has enough backstory. You could watch a Lo Pan movie. Honestly.
Yeah, they did mention at one point that he was also a warrior, so you could make it a good action comedy of how he became such a type of warrior that was respected in his time.
Yeah, this movie made me want more Lo Pan for sure.
You want to talk about the lore a little bit before you go into your next little thing about the movie? Because I feel like the lore is definitely important here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because to be fair, with this whole lore with Lo Pan, he's apparently part of the dead, like some kind of spirit that was cursed because he fucked the emperor's wife. I don't know. I don't think they really explained exactly what he did to piss off the emperor.
Well, I thought it was like he lost a battle or something that then they did it. It's like he in the sewer, they kind of mentioned that part of the lore is that he lost one of his fights, his battles, like his army lost. So then from that, he got the curse up put on him.
Either way, the curse pretty much is he now the reason I bring up, maybe being with the emperor's wife, which I know is wrong because they never mentioned the emperor's wife at all, but it makes more sense on why now his curse is only lifted when he marries a woman with green eyes. Because to me, that just means, okay, the emperor's wife probably was a very rare woman with green eyes. And Lo Pan ended up having relations with her. So now in order to break the curse, he has to be with a woman with green eyes. That makes sense to me. Losing a battle, and now your punishment is you must marry a woman with green eyes, like
probably not.
That doesn't feel like a curse to me.
Yeah, but he does.
He has a century to find the right woman.
But he said himself, he says, hey, with men and women, things can happen. It doesn't work out. He's taken a long time to actually make this happen. So
I love how he mentions that, but yet I'm guessing he's talking about, the whole ritual they do with taming the sword.
Touching the sword, yeah. I guess previous women had to just exploded when they touched the sword. What happens?
I'm guessing that's what he meant, but at the same time, it's like, wait a minute, dude, when he says that, the only thing popping in my head is you're forcing these women to be with you.
Yeah,
why are you talking about it?
It's so funny. He pitched it like, hey, like we went on a couple of dates, it doesn't work out. I'm like, aren't you kidnapping women and forcing them to marry you? Like, I don't. He pitched it like he's just like, you know how these dating things work out, But
and to be fair, that's honestly one of the reasons why I thought Lo Pan came to America is because America would have had more green-eyed women, but I guess they're supposed to be Chinese though, even though Gracie Law is definitely not that. Now Shin is, but Gracie Law ain't.
No, Gracie Law. I mean, the fact that she's eligible for this means that it's definitely nothing to do with like being Asian. It's the green eyes.
Green eyes.
Now the two actresses, they did not have green eyes, so they had to
put contacts in.
Yeah. So
suck.
Yeah, I gotta give a special shout out always to Victor Wong. I mean, this dude always is a great supporting character. He's always a good supporting actor in anything he does. The fact that he's in this movie and Golden Child though amazes me. So Carpenter, like when he's making this movie, he finds out that Eddie Murphy's also doing a movie that deals with like Chinese mysticism. He's like, there hasn't been a movie made about this in the last 25 years. Now the year that I'm doing it, Eddie Murphy's making a movie like this too. What the hell, man? So they rushed up production actually to get this out before then. So this came out in July of '86, and Golden Child is December of '86. But Victor Wong was like, "Yeah, I'm in that Eddie Murphy movie too." I'm like, what? Come on, man! Like, you're doing this one, man. You can't go do the Eddie Murphy one too. It's like Victor Wong's like, man, look, I'm everywhere, baby. So yeah, that's a fun connection there. Maybe it's Victor Wong. I don't know, like, why this movie made me think of Tremors so much. To me, it has the same sort of fun feel with like the group of characters coming together to fight the thing, and then also that dynamic with Jack Bird and Gracie Law. I said Tracy Law.
Tracy Law.
Gracie Law and Jack Bird. It's a much more fun dynamic than Val and Rhonda, but it is the same exact idea of like it's kind of hinted. It's not you're not being over the head with it, but it's hinted at throughout the movie. So I don't know, it reminded me a lot of Big Trouble of Tremors, the same kind of fun feel.
Big Trouble in Tremors. Gotcha.
Big Trouble in Tremors, yeah. Grab Boys in Chinatown.
We just got done talking about Tremors too, and now you can't get it out of your mind.
But so remember, the test screenings for Tremors said we want them to kiss at the end, right? This movie has that exact moment with Jack and Gracie Law at the end, but they go in the other direction. They do the cool thing and be like, nope. So very interesting that this one goes in that direction and Tremors gives you the low-hanging fruit, the obvious kiss. This one's like, no, this one is actually doing the thing of like, hey, we're gonna do a sequel, so we're gonna put this together in the sequel, and then we never get a sequel.
Never happened.
Yeah. And that's actually the only thing I would say too that I think makes this movie sort of more iconic than a lot of movies is that it sets up a universe and characters where you want more. And then the fact that we never got more, I think makes people love this movie more. Because you're like, how the hell did we not get a sequel with all the lore set up, the characters? How do you not do something with this franchise?
You know what? I know what you should have did when you met John Carpenter.
Yeah.
Told him we want a Big Trouble in Little China too.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the problem was, like I said, the story, this is the exact same thing that happened to Tremors. I could do the same exact intro. I said, bombs at the box office, then becomes a hit on home video. This one took, I think, maybe a little bit longer to become a hit on video, but yeah, at this point, it's like, it's such a known movie that you could easily do something with it. But at this point, I mean, this Kurt Russell, I mean, I don't want to see someone else play Jack Bird. If you can give me like an older version of Jack Bird with Kurt Russell, I'm down, but I don't want to see someone else.
I'm sorry. This is Kurt Russell we're talking about. Something tells me that he would be down to do it.
Oh, yeah.
Especially if John Carpenter is the one talking to him.
Yeah. But it's just different. I'm sure, I don't know if he could do the action. Like, I don't know. Like, it's something about in that moment, you could have just had him driving a truck and done a sequel so easily. Like, it's just like now it's like he wouldn't be, he could be like the old advisor guy. He could play the Victor Wong role. But it has to be like
all the magic powers.
he could be the Victor Wong character, kind of somehow watching over Chinatown. But you'd probably have a young group of characters as the actual action heroes. But then he's the Victor Wong dude giving like the advice and stuff. So, but you could do it that way. But
so I got a question for you.
Yeah,
how is your thoughts on the climax to you? That whole fight scene.
There's a lot going on. That had to be actually a lot to choreograph because there's a lot going on. I enjoy, it feels like Mortal Kombat before Mortal Kombat. I enjoy seeing a fake Raiden character. I understand that given the time period, budget-wise, it couldn't have been as extravagant as maybe they could have done like today. But it's action-packed, it's fun, it gets the job done. It has a lot of fun character moments. Again, the knife thing with Lopan was very well set up early on in the movie.
For me,
yeah,
I will say I would have preferred at the very least the sword fight to be a little more serious. Granted, you know this.
You're talking about with Dennis Dunn's character and the sort of the main quasi sidekick villain guy.
Yeah. I believe that character's name was Rain.
Yeah, they could have showed more of that.
I wouldn't
There's
say
a
it showed more, just did it more seriously, just for that fight at least.
okay.
Because I mean, you know, we did a whole action movie month. I always chose martial arts, but there's a particular type of martial art. I prefer one that isn't like flying around and being all
Mm.
extravagant. I would have preferred, kind of single stage almost, just a plain old sword fight looking thing, just looking flash. Besides looking flashy, and then you could have done a comedy type sword fight with our big dude,
Mm.
what Thunder.
I think this one because they drank the magic potion, all that stuff. This one was going for more just like there's gonna be people flying, like the mysticism part, the magical part was gonna have to play a role in that fight scene. If it was without the mystical part and just straightforward, like humans fighting humans, I would have been like, it would have been more. I would want that too. But I'm like kind of like with the world they set up, it was like, okay, this is gonna be like people flying around and like all this stuff. So it's like now in today's world, you would have done a sword fight in the air while flying around. So that was like I think Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon did that, like where it's like the same idea, but like actually fighting with swords in the air and stuff. So
Yeah, but like I said, then you could have done another thing. Now,
you have
granted,
to you have to apply 1986 limitations to what we're seeing because it's 1986. So
oh yeah, but at the same time, then I'm also thinking, oh, but the big dude, all we really got was him throwing things around and then he explodes. I
it's not true. He did that whole demonstration for the two women where he just like was like, ah, I don't know what the
you
point of
mean
that
you
scene
mean
was.
where the girls really should have fallen in love with him instead of Lopan?
I would have edited John. I would have edited that scene out. That scene. I mean, from a comedy standpoint, that scene is funny. I'm just like, how awkward was that to film that scene? They're just standing there looking at him. He's like, oh, oh. And I was like, what an awkward scene. Like,
No, but again,
but anyways,
for me, when I think usually when I come to climaxes, even with comedies, I want something more of a kind of because almost every Jackie Chan movie of good action comedies. Then when you get to the final fight, it is usually 100% serious.
okay.
I say usually. Obviously, Drunken Master was not, but at the same time, look at this fighting style you're portraying in that movie.
So
But the
it's
sequel was actually pretty serious.
it's important to remember they cast Dennis Dunn not for his fighting skills. They actually thought like, hey, he's a good actor to play the performance. Dennis Dunn had like kind of been around martial arts during his life, but he wasn't like if you cast Jackie Chan here, Jackie Chan would be like, hey, I know your guys' budget, but like I can like choreograph for you guys an amazing fight scene at the end of this movie. Like just having Jackie Chan on the set, Jackie Chan would look at the script and be like, hey, I can like we can put together like amazing fight. Like Dennis Dunn wasn't in a position to be like probably like, hey, I can do this, but I think Jackie Chan would have probably brought a whole different dimension to it. I think given I'll say this, the movie does a good job of like even when there's fighting, I do get what Carpenter's doing because it is always comedy first, I would say. Like it never gets that serious. It never really loses the comedic thing. So I kind of get at the end, they're not going to like abandon the comedy for just like a full blown fight scene. But that's where I see it as more like I take it more as like a comedy that has some action scenes, but I don't take it that seriously as an action movie. And I guess that's the difference. As a
Yeah.
full blown action movie, then I'm expecting a much more actiony type climax. But the whole thing with Lopan, like that's just like supposed to be a funny thing, like him getting like Jack Burton actually getting the kill in with something like that. It's just funny, and I
I
don't.
don't know why that I actually did like that part, but
It's
for
just
me, that
it's on a first watch. That's because the other guy, the rain dude, hasn't even died yet or whatever. Like he's still
no,
alive.
yeah, you got Thunder and Lightning haven't died yet. Rain has when he got stabbed with the sword.
You just expect something more big for Lopan. You expect him to be the last one left and like something big to happen. So it's such a very quick, it happens so fast. You're like, what the hell? And Jack Burton's been like, that's all in the reflexes. It's like it's so unexpected on the first watch. I'm like, well, okay.
Well,
I gotta give
maybe
it, I gotta, I gotta
Lopan.
get I gotta give it points just for like giving Lopan such a simple, unexpected ending. Just like, well, he underestimated Jack Burton, so
Well, to be fair, let's face it, it is Lopan's fault. He didn't exactly put a whole lot of pressure in his knife toss.
oh yeah, but anybody else probably just takes the knife in the face because Jack has this very specific thing. But how is Lopan to know that? But
Lo Pan's a fucking warrior. He needed to, or at least back in the day, he was a warrior. He needed to not, overestimate his opponent. Which, if what you're telling me is true, and it's because he lost the battles while he's cursed, he should have taken that into account. It's like, hey, I underestimated my opponent just once before, and I lost.
Yeah, but I think Jack Burton being incompetent throughout the entire movie sets it up to where he's a perfect candidate to be underestimated, because he's just like, this bumbling fool, he can't do anything to me. It's a perfect person to underestimate, and that's why it's so shocking. And Jack Burton's like, wait a minute, there's something I can do that's very skilled, but it's just one thing that actually works out for him. There's a lot of fun moments. We don't have to touch on all of them. I would say that Jack going down the stairs in the wheelchair, that seemed like it would be scary to film. One thing. It also made me think of a certain death in Friday the 13th. 2.
At least Burton didn't have a machete in the face.
There's a great moment where Jack trades guns with Dennis Dun's character, and then Dennis immediately he's like trades guns with the other dude. That was good stuff. I think I do love Gracie Law. Again, I would have loved to see her more in a sequel too. All the characters are fun, man. I gotta say, like, this is just, again, with all these kind of movies, Tremors, Big Trouble, turn your brain off, just have fun. It's not gonna keep you watching for 2.5 hours. These are like hour and a half, hour 40-minute movies, super fast paced, and
There's one character we haven't talked about yet.
Oh yeah, go ahead, sir.
Monkey Man.
Oh yeah, Monkey Man. Okay, all right. Do you have any words, any thoughts to say about Monkey Man?
Yeah, the reason we didn't get a sequel is because Monkey Man came out from behind Jack's truck, as we saw at the end, and completely mutilated Jack.
Okay.
That's why we never got a sequel.
So the lack of a sequel, again, that's my take of the movie, is like, I love it, and also I'm just so annoyed that there's no. This could have been like at least like a trilogy, something. Everybody was down. I've seen some interviews where all the actors say they were down for a sequel. Anyways, either way. Also, I mean, this is all Manual of the Clouds, but they just don't make fun movies like this anymore. Like, there's a fun factor. It doesn't feel like you're watching actors. It feels like you're watching characters, actual real people as characters. And they're like 100% bought in. Movies now, man, I swear, it always feels to me like actors playing a part. And these older movies,
that's what they are.
I know, but the older movies you just buy, like, that Jack Burton feels like, and it doesn't feel like Kurt Russell to me. It feels like Jack Burton. Like, it's hard to describe that. It doesn't feel like Kevin Bacon. That feels like Val. Like, I don't know what.
To be fair, at this point, because in the 80s, good movie making was still an art form. Nowadays, you can definitely tell everyone treats it like what it is, and that's a job, not really an art form anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, and everything is very like everything's almost like you're in the actors are always like in on the joke. The Marvel movies are always in on the joke. Whereas like with these movies, we get to laugh at it, but the characters are like they're 100% taking it seriously. They're in the moment, buying it in. You're not getting the wink in the audience from the characters, which is sometimes helps you get into it more. So the fun factor is not there with today's movies. If you want a super fun double feature, I can't stress enough. You cannot have a bad day if you start your day with a double feature of Tremors and Big Trouble in Little China. It's just it's a good day. And you've had a good day already. And if you can find someone who hasn't seen those two movies and show them those two movies.
I'd rather Big Trouble in Little China and Drunken Master.
Oh yeah, well make it a 3-movie thing then. So, yeah. So all right.
Anyways, any final thoughts you got? Go home, but y'all gotta get some Chinese food.
I knew that was coming. I was like, how can we talk about Big Trouble in Little China and you haven't mentioned Chinese food once this whole podcast? So
make sure.
All right.
Technically, I did, didn't I? Oh no, wait. I think that was during Tremors. Never mind. Anyway.
True. All right,
folks. We gotta get some Chinese food, Mongolian beef, some dumplings if you can eat pork. Some General Tso's chicken. If you have a place that makes a good General Tso's chicken, that's hard to find nowadays because no one makes it spicy. I'm gonna stop
Wow.
before I go on a rant.
Super first world Chinese food problems. All right. All that said, you guys have a wonderful day, and we'll talk again soon.
Peace.